Welcome to our deep dive into the Côte du Rhône,
The Côte du Rhône.
a legendary French wine region.
Yeah,
You've shared some fascinating material with us,
I have.
and I'm eager to uncover the unique insights it holds.
Yeah.
Think history, geography, iconic grapes,
Right.
and maybe even some tips for our next wine adventure.
Absolutely.
I love it.
It's a region that truly rewards a deep dive.
It does.
And you're right, it all starts with the Rhone River itself.
The river.
It's not just a geographical feature.
Right.
It's woven into the very fabric of the region's winemaking history.
It's almost like the river is a timeline, right? The Romans recognized the area's viticultural potential centuries ago.
Yeah.
They planted the first vineyards
Uh-huh.
and cleverly used the river as a trade route to transport their wines,
Yeah,
establishing the foundation for the Rhone Valley's vinicultural legacy.
that's right.
It's fascinating how that ancient history still resonates in the wines we enjoy today.
Absolutely. And speaking of history, this source dives into the classic distinction
Okay.
between the northern Rhone and the southern Rhone.
Uh-huh.
These are two very distinct regions,
Yeah, okay.
each with its own personality.
I've always been curious about those differences.
Yeah.
What are some of the key factors that set them apart?
Well, imagine a journey through the Rhone Valley.
Okay.
As you travel north, the landscape dramatically changes.
Okay.
Picture steep slopes, sometimes almost vertical,
Wow.
with vineyards clinging to the hillsides above the river.
Above the river.
The soils here are primarily granite,
Granite.
weathered over millennia,
Wow.
and the climate is continental,
Okay.
with hot summers,
Yeah.
but distinctly chilly winters.
It sounds like a challenging environment for grape growing.
It is.
Yeah.
The vines have to struggle,
Yeah.
and that struggle translates into wines of incredible depth
Right.
and intensity.
Okay.
The star grape here is Syrah.
Sierra.
It thrives in these northern conditions,
Yeah.
producing powerful, age-worthy reds,
Right.
with complex aromas of black fruit pepper and spice.
Ah, Syrah the grape behind some of the Rhone's most legendary wines.
That's right.
Like Hermitage, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hermitage is one of the most prestigious appellations in the world,
Wow.
known for its long-lived Syrah-based wines.
Right.
And then you have Côte Rôtie,
Côte Rôtie.
another northern Rhone gem,
Okay.
also known for Syrah.
Uh-huh.
But what's unique about Côte Rôtie
Okay.
is that winemakers can blend in a small percentage of the white grape Viognier,
Viognier.
typically up to 20%.
Viognier and a red wine.
Yeah.
That's unusual.
It is. Why would they do that? It's a traditional technique, and it's quite fascinating.
Interesting.
The Viognier adds a floral lift
Okay.
and a touch of apricot aroma to those powerful Syrah wines,
Uh-huh.
creating a more aromatic and complex blend.
So we have the north with its dramatic landscapes, its demanding climate, and its focus on Syrah.
Yeah.
What happens as we head south?
As you venture south, the landscape softens, the climate warms,
Okay.
and the palette of grape varieties expands.
Really?
Think rolling hills,
Oh,
sun-drenched plains,
I like it.
and a more Mediterranean vibe.
I like it.
The southern Rhone enjoys a wider range of soil types
Okay.
and warmer temperatures year-round,
Yeah.
creating a perfect environment for a diverse array of grapes.
It sounds like the Southern Rhone is all about sunshine, warmth, and a celebration of blending different grapes.
Precisely.
Okay.
And the most famous example is Châteauneuf-du-Pape,
Châteauneuf-du-Pape.
perhaps the most renowned southern Rhone appellation.
I've definitely heard of Châteauneuf-du-Pape.
Yeah,
It's known for its unique blend of grapes, isn't it?
it is.
Yeah.
And this is where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
Châteauneuf-du-Pape allows a staggering 13 grape varieties in its blends, including both red and white grapes.
That's an incredibly diverse palette.
It is.
No wonder the wines are so complex.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Grenache is typically the dominant grape, providing the backbone of the blend
Yeah.
with its generous red fruit and spicy notes.
Right.
But each of those 13 grapes has a role to play,
Really?
contributing nuances of flavor, aroma, and structure to the final wine.
So it's like an intricate puzzle, with each piece adding a unique element to the overall picture.
A perfect analogy.
I like it.
For example, one surprising grape allowed in the blend is Cinsault.
Cinsault.
It might seem unexpected, as Cinsault is often associated with lighter, simpler wines.
Right.
But in Châteauneuf-du-Pape, it adds a lovely floral lift
Uh-huh.
and a touch of freshness that balances the power of Grenache and Syrah,
Interesting.
creating a more harmonious and elegant wine.
I never would have guessed that sin salt would play such a crucial role
Right.
in a wine as complex as Chateauneuf-du-Pape.
It's a testament to the winemaker's skill and understanding of how different grapes interact.
Right.
And Chateauneuf-du-Pape is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to Southern Rhone.
Really?
You also have Girondas, Carré, both known for powerful Grenache-dominant reds, and then Terroirs,
Okay.
which specializes in dry rosés.
Wow.
A real standout in the world of rosé.
So much variety.
Isn't there?
It's clear that both the northern and southern Rhone have their own unique personalities, shaped by climate, soil, and grape varieties.
Absolutely.
But before we get too carried away talking about regions, I'm eager to delve deeper into the grapes themselves.
Okay.
What are some of the key red and white grapes that define the character of Côte du Rhône wines?
That's a great next step. Let's start with the reds.
Okay.
Because after all, the Rhone is predominantly known for its red wines.
I'm excited.
Me too.
Right.
We were just talking about some of those iconic red grapes that thrive in the Rhone Valley.
Right?
Syrah Grenache and Mourvèdre.
Those three
are the real stars here.
The big ones?
Each brings its own unique personality to the blend.
Yeah.
Syrah, as we discussed, is known for its peppery, black fruit intensity and its ability to age gracefully.
Right.
You know those wines that just get better.
Better with time?
Better with time, exactly.
Syrah is definitely a grape with a strong personality.
It is.
What about Grenache?
Grenache is often considered the heart of Southern Rhone blends.
The heart?
It's a warmer climate grape, known for its generosity, its softer tannins, and its vibrant red fruit flavors.
Yeah.
It adds a juiciness and a spicy edge to the wines, often with notes of cinnamon clove or licorice.
It sounds like Grenache brings a sense of warmth and approachability to the blend.
Right. It kind of rounds out those edges a little bit.
It does. Yeah. And what about Mourvèdre?
Mourvèdre.
Yeah.
Now, this is a grape with a brooding side.
Ooh.
It's known for its deep color.
Okay.
Its firm tannins. And its complex aromas of black fruit earth.
Earth?
And sometimes even hints of game.
Wow.
It adds structure and longevity to blends. Allowing them to age beautifully.
So we have Syrah with its intensity, Grenache with its warmth, and Mourvèdre with its brooding complexity.
That's right.
It's amazing how these three grapes can work together to create such a diverse range of wines.
It's a testament to the artistry of Rhone winemakers.
Yeah.
And we can't forget about the white grapes,
right,
which often play a supporting role, but can also shine on their own.
Right. We briefly touched on Viognier earlier.
We did.
It's the only grape allowed in the white wines of Condrieu.
Yes.
And it's known for its heady aromas.
It is intensely aromatic.
Yeah.
With notes of apricot, peach, honeysuckle.
Wow.
And often a distinctive floral quality that's almost reminiscent of perfume.
Really?
In Condrieu, it produces rich, full-bodied white wines that are incredibly age-worthy.
So we have Viognier for those who love intensely aromatic white wines.
Yes.
What are some other key white grapes we should know about?
Marsanne and Roussanne.
Marsanne and Roussanne
are two other important white grapes in the Rhone.
Okay.
They're often blended together, creating wines with a beautiful balance of richness and acidity.
Nice.
Marsanne brings weight and texture.
Okay.
Often with nutty, honeyed notes. While Roussanne adds freshness and vibrancy.
Okay.
Along with aromas of pear white flowers and herbs.
It sounds like Marsanne and Roussanne are a perfect pairing, complementing each other's strength.
They truly are. And then you have Grenache Blanc.
Grenache Blanc.
Which thrives in the warmer climate of the Southern Rhone.
Right.
It adds body richness and the touch of herbal spice to blends.
Okay.
But can also produce delicious single varietal wines.
So versatile.
It is.
It's amazing how each grape has its own unique character.
It is.
And how those characteristics are influenced by the climate and the soil where it grows.
That's the magic of terroir.
Terroir.
The interplay of all those environmental factors that shape the personality of a wine.
Speaking of terroir, I know the Rhone Valley is famous for its AOC system.
It is.
Which is designed to protect the authenticity and quality of its wines. But I have to admit, I find the whole AOC thing a bit intimidating.
Yeah, it can be.
Can you break it down for me in a way that makes sense for someone who isn't a wine expert?
Absolutely.
Okay.
The AOC system, which stands for Appellation d'Origine Contrôlée.
Appellation d'Origine Contrôlée.
Might seem complicated at first.
It does.
But it's really all about ensuring that the wine you're drinking is what it says it is.
Okay.
That it reflects the unique character of its place of origin.
Right.
Think of it as a quality control system.
Okay.
that protects both producers and consumers.
So it's like a guarantee of authenticity and a way to preserve the traditions of the region?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Each AOC has specific rules and regulations
Okay.
that dictate everything from the grape varieties that can be used to the winemaking techniques that are allowed.
That makes sense. After all, we've talked about how the climate, the soil, and the grape varieties all play a role in shaping the character of a wine.
Right.
It follows that the winemaking techniques would also be important.
Precisely. The AOC system recognizes that all those factors contribute to the unique expression of a wine's terroir.
Right.
And to make it even more interesting, there's a hierarchy within the system.
A hierarchy.
At the base level, you have regional appellations like Côte du Rhône,
Okay.
which covers a broad geographical area and allows for a wider range of grape varieties and winemaking styles.
Okay.
Then you move up to village appellations,
Village appellation.
like Côte du Rhône villages,
Okay.
which are smaller and have slightly stricter regulations,
Okay.
often reflecting the specific character of a particular village or group of villages.
So as you move up the hierarchy, the wines become more specific and more representative of their place of origin.
Exactly.
Okay.
And at the very top of the pyramid are the crus.
The crus?
These are the elite appellations representing the most exceptional terroirs
Wow.
and the most rigorously regulated wines.
So like the best of the best.
The best of the best.
Okay.
Think Châteauneuf-du-Pape, Hermitage Côte-Rôtie.
Those are some big names.
They are.
Yeah.
These are the rock stars of the Rhone Valley.
The rock stars, I like it.
Now it's all starting to come together for me.
Good.
But how does this AOC system actually help me when I'm trying to choose a bottle of wine?
That's a great question.
Think of the AOC on the label as your guide to the wine's origin and its style.
Okay.
It tells you where the grapes were grown and the rules the winemaker had to follow.
Right.
So if you see Côte du Rhône on the label, you can expect a wine that's generally approachable and fruit-forward,
Okay.
while a wine labeled Hermitage will likely be more complex, age-worthy,
Right.
and made with 100% Syrah.
So the AOC is a bit like a roadmap helping me navigate the world of Rhone wines.
Exactly, and there are a few other key things to look for on the label.
Okay. What else should we be looking for?
The producer's name is a good indicator of style,
Okay.
especially once you start to get familiar with different producers.
Right, because some producers are known for making more traditional wines, while others might be more experimental or modern in their approach.
Precisely, and then you have the vintage,
Vintage, yeah.
which is the year the grapes were harvested.
Right.
Vintage can have a significant impact on a wine's character,
Yeah.
especially in a region like the Rhone,
Right.
where weather can vary considerably from year to year.
So if I'm looking for a wine for a special occasion, I might want to pay attention to the vintage.
Yeah.
And perhaps seek out a year that's known for producing exceptional wines.
Exactly, and keep an eye out for any special mentions on the label, like vieille vin.
I've seen that term on labels before,
Yeah.
but I wasn't sure what it meant.
It means old vines.
Old vines.
Old vines are prized for their ability to produce more concentrated and complex fruit.
Interesting.
So a wine labeled vieille vin is often a sign of quality
Okay.
and a wine that's worth seeking out.
This is all so helpful. I feel like I'm finally starting to crack the code of Rhone wine labels.
That's fantastic.
It is.
But understanding the label is just the first step. The real enjoyment comes from tasting the wine and appreciating its nuances.
That's what I'm really excited about.
Yeah.
But to be honest, I sometimes feel a bit lost when it comes to wine tasting.
Sure.
I know the basics, like looking at the color and swirling the wine in my glass.
Right.
But I'm not always sure what I'm supposed to be smelling or tasting.
Don't worry, you're not alone.
Okay, good.
Wine tasting can seem intimidating at first,
It can be.
but it's really just about engaging your senses and paying attention to what you experience.
So where do we start?
Let's break it down.
Okay.
First, observe the wine's appearance.
Okay.
Hold it up to the light and notice its color.
Right.
Is it a deep ruby red, a pale garnet,
Okay.
or a vibrant golden yellow?
Right.
The color can give you clues about the grape variety,
Uh-huh.
the age of the wine, and even the winemaking techniques that were used.
So even before we take a sip, the wine is already telling us a story.
Exactly.
Got that.
Next, give the wine a swirl in your glass. This aerates the wine, releasing its aromas.
Right.
Observe the legs, those streaks that run down the inside of the glass.
The legs.
The legs can indicate the wine's alcohol content and body.
Okay, I'm starting to feel like a pro already.
I like it.
What's next?
Now it's time to engage your sense of smell.
Okay.
This is where the real fun begins.
All right.
Swirl the glass again to release those aromas and take a deep inhale.
I'm ready?
What do you smell?
Okay.
Do you detect fruits like Blackberries?
Yeah.
Cherries? Or citrus?
Okay.
Do you notice spices like pepper, clove, or cinnamon?
Uh-huh.
Or perhaps earthy notes like leather tobacco or forest floor?
I always get a bit intimidated by this part. I'm
Yeah.
not sure if I'm smelling the right things.
There are no right or wrong answers.
Okay, good.
Everyone perceives aromas differently,
Right.
and it's all about what you experience.
Yeah.
The key is to be curious, to explore, and to enjoy the journey of discovery.
Right.
And remember, the aromas can evolve as the wine opens up in the glass. So keep smelling it throughout the tasting.
So we've looked at the wine.
Yes.
We've swirled it, and we've smelled it.
Yes.
Now, the moment of truth, the tasting.
Exactly.
Sorry.
Take a small sip and let the wine coat your palate.
Okay.
Pay attention to how it feels in your mouth.
Okay, I'm ready. What should I be paying attention to?
Think about the wine's acidity.
Okay.
Does it make your mouth water?
Uh-huh.
How about the tannins?
Okay.
Do they feel dry and grippy on your tongue?
Right.
Notice the body of the wine.
Okay.
Is it light and delicate
Uh-huh.
or full and rich?
Okay.
And finally, pay attention to the finish.
The finish.
How long do the flavors linger after you swallow?
Wow. There's a lot to consider.
There is.
Yeah.
And as you taste more wines, you'll start to develop your palate
Right.
and become more attuned to those nuances.
Right.
But the most important thing is to enjoy the experience and to trust your own perceptions.
That's reassuring to hear.
Is it?
It takes the pressure off. But I do have one more question about tasting.
Okay.
How do I know if a wine is good or not?
That's a great question, and it's one that often comes up.
Yeah.
Ultimately, the best wine is the one you enjoy the most.
True.
But there are some objective measures of quality,
Okay.
such as balance, complexity, and length.
Okay.
A well-made wine will have a harmonious balance of acidity, tannins, fruit, and alcohol.
Right.
It will also exhibit complexity with layers of flavor that unfold as you taste it.
Yeah.
And it will have a long finish with those flavors lingering on your palate.
So it's not just about personal preference. There are also technical aspects that contribute to a wine's quality.
Precisely. But those technical aspects should never overshadow the pure enjoyment of drinking a wine that you find delicious.
Well said.
Thank you.
And speaking of enjoyment, I can't imagine talking about Rhone wines without mentioning food pairings.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Food and wine are natural partners.
They are.
And the right pairing can truly elevate the dining experience.
I'm all ears. I love trying new food and wine pairings.
Yeah.
But I often struggle to know where to start.
Okay.
What are some general principles for pairing Rhone wines with food?
One of the most important principles is to match the intensity of the wine with the intensity of the food.
So you wouldn't want to pair a delicate white wine with a hearty steak.
Right.
Or a powerful red wine with a light salad.
Right. You want to create a harmonious balance where neither the food nor the wine overpowers the other.
That makes sense. It's about creating a partnership where the flavors complement each other.
Exactly. Acidity is another key factor to consider.
Yeah.
Wines with high acidity, like many white Rhone wines, can cut through the richness of fatty foods,
Yeah.
creating a refreshing contrast.
So a crisp white Rhone would be a great choice with something like creamy pasta or seafood.
Precisely. And tannins,
The tannins.
which are those drying sensations you feel on your tongue,
Yeah.
compare beautifully with proteins.
Okay.
The tannins in red wines bind with the proteins in meats, creating a softening effect and enhancing the flavors of both the food and the wine.
So a tannic red Rhone like a Gigondas would be a delicious pairing with grilled lamb or beef.
Absolutely.
Ah.
And don't forget about the principle of complementing flavors.
Okay.
Look for shared flavor profiles between the wine and the food.
Like pairing a wine with earthy notes with a dish that also has earthy flavors like mushrooms or truffles.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or pairing a wine with spicy notes with a dish that has a hint of heat like Asian cuisine or Mexican food.
Right.
The possibilities are endless.
They are.
And it's all about experimenting and discovering what you enjoy.
This is so helpful. I feel like I have a much better understanding of how to approach food and wine pairings now.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And remember, the most important rule of all is to enjoy the journey.
Right.
There are no hard and fast rules when it comes to food and wine pairing.
The best pairing is the one that brings you the most pleasure.
Precisely. And speaking of pleasure,
Dave.
are there any specific Rhone producers or wines that you're curious to try?
I am. After all this talk about Rhone wines, I'm definitely feeling inspired to explore the region further.
Wonderful. There's so much to discover.
There is.
From the iconic appellations to the hidden gems.
Where should we start?
Well, if you're looking to experience the classic style of Châteauneuf-du-Pape,
Okay.
Domaine de la Jeunesse and Domaine du Vieux Télégraphe are both renowned producers known for their quality and complexity.
I've heard great things about those producers.
Your hat.
What about if I want to try Côte Rôtie?
For Côte Rôtie, Iguigal is one of the most celebrated names in the region,
Iguigal.
producing elegant and age-worthy wines that showcase the power and finesse of Syrah.
And for Hermitage?
Both Paul Jaboulet and M. Chapoutier are excellent choices for Hermitage.
Wow, those are some great starting points for red wines.
They are. What about whites?
For a truly exceptional Conjou Domaine, Georges Vernet is a must-try.
Domaine Georges Vernet.
Though, be prepared to splurge a bit for those highly sought-after bottles. Okay, I'll keep that in mind.
And for a delicious rosé, Domaine de la Morteray in Tavel consistently produces outstanding wines that capture the unique character of this southern Rhone appellation.
This is so exciting. I feel like I have a whole new world of Rhone wines to explore.
There is.
But before we wrap up our deep dive,
Yes.
I'm curious, what aspects of the Côte du Rhône would you say are ripe for further exploration?
That's a fantastic question, and it leads us to a really interesting point.
Okay.
We've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
But there's always more to discover.
Right. We've just scratched the surface.
Exactly. Perhaps delving deeper into the specific terroirs of the different villages.
Okay.
Exploring the subtle nuances that distinguish one vineyard from another.
Yeah.
Or maybe even taking a closer look at the lesser-known grape varieties that contribute to the complexity of the blends.
Or even exploring the impact of climate change on the region.
Yes.
And how winemakers are adapting their practices to ensure the future of Rhone wines.
Precisely. There are so many fascinating avenues to explore.
That's true.
And that's the beauty of the Rhone Valley. It's a region that continually rewards curiosity and a thirst for knowledge.
Well said.
Thank you.
This deep dive has definitely sparked my curiosity and given me a solid foundation for exploring the world of Côte du Rhône wines.
It's been a pleasure sharing this journey with you.
I've enjoyed it.
And to you listening, we hope this deep dive has ignited your passion for the Rhone Valley.
Yes.
And inspired you to embark on your own wine adventure.
What a great way to wrap it up. I love that.
I do too.
So for me, I'm already making a list of all the wines I need to try.
I know, me too.
And maybe even start planning a trip over to the Rhone.
Oh, I'm ready when you are.
Me too. I love that idea of the Rhone Valley as a region that rewards curiosity.
It is.
And you've definitely given me a lot to be curious about.
Yeah.
It's like we've just opened the door to this incredible world of wine.
Yeah.
And now it's up to us to step through and explore. I'm already making a mental list of wines to try.
I know, me too.
But even if a trip to the Rhone Valley isn't in the cards right now, I can still bring a bit of that magic home with me.
Absolutely. Pick up a bottle of Côte du Rhône. Try those food pairings we talked about.
Yeah.
Share a glass with friends and let the flavors transport you.
What a wonderful way to think about it.
Isn't it?
And who knows, maybe this deep dive will inspire someone to plan their own Rhone wine adventure someday.
That would be amazing. Imagine strolling through those sun-drenched vineyards.
Oh, yeah.
Feeling the mistral wind in your hair.
Wow.
Tasting wines right where they're made.
No, you're speaking my language.
I know.
It's an experience that stays with you.
It really does.
But until that dream trip becomes a reality, I'll be content to explore the Rhone Valley, one delicious bottle at a time.
There you go.
Thanks for sharing your expertise and for taking us on this incredible journey.
It's been my pleasure.
Yeah.
Cheers to your next wine adventure.
Cheers! And to all of you listening, we hope this deep dive has deepened your appreciation for the world of Côte du Rhône wines. Until next time, happy exploring.
Happy exploring.